Do you know what Pope Francis's favorite movie is? I can't ask him because he knows. Because he told me yesterday after I rewatched it. I didn't know. It's Babette's Feast. It's a great movie. Everyone should be watching Babette's Feast. To the young people, spoiler alert, it's not a Marvel movie. It's better than a Marvel movie. It's so good. Acting, storylines, cinematography, beautiful movie. Babette's Feast, Pope Francis's favorite movie. You can get it on Apple TV, or you can get it from the Vancouver Public Library. If you have a membership, that's part of your membership, I believe. It's a movie that has so many themes running through it, but for our purposes, what I want to focus on is hospitality that is giving without counting the cost. Hospitality that is giving without counting the cost. The movie is about a small group of Christian believers. I believe they're kind of a very austere kind of group of Christians, maybe Scottish Calvinists or something like that. You know, their food is sort of bland. They live in very austere conditions. And their founder has been dead for many years. The two daughters of the preacher-founder want to gather their small congregation and honor their founder, their father and founder, on the 100th anniversary of his birthday. The two daughters have a woman working and living and working with them. They've taken her in, part of the storyline, who happens to be Catholic. Babette is her name, Babette. Now, Babette wins a lottery, 10,000 francs. That's a lot of buckaroonies in those days. This is actually, I think it's in the 18 or 1700s. She wants to give a huge dinner. Babette wants to give, she gets along well with these sisters, very well actually, and she wants to express her gratitude to these sisters and their followers by putting on a huge dinner. And the number of the people, it's dwindling because they're getting older. The number of the people is 12. Okay, so start thinking, what is this movie all about? Number of the people is 12. What has been happening amongst this small group is that there's a lot of dissension. They're becoming basically bitter old people. So gossiping, backbiting, disagreements, old infidelities are coming out. They're snipping at each other. It's not a very pleasant atmosphere. And they're actually at the point where they could really fall apart. Babette, unbeknown to them, when she was in France, was a renowned chef of a very high-class restaurant. She had to leave the country, and these sisters took her in. She spends, unbeknownst to them, all 10,000 francs on this dinner, an act of superabundant generosity. And she, on a dinner fit for a king, cooks it herself and serves it, has it served to the gathered group. She really does give without counting the cost. As the dinner progresses, it's marvelous to see how the excellence of the meal, coupled with the wine, which these people do not drink. You drink wine, you can go to hell, right? So thank God you're a Catholic. So these people, they don't drink wine, but they're drinking wine. They're convinced it's okay to drink wine for this meal. And all the while, Babette never shows herself to the guests. She's in the back room, she's cooking. This is like wood stoves, no electricity, nada. All, old customs, all old-fashioned stuff. So it's the wood stoves, and you have to know how to operate this stuff. Get the heat right and all that. She has the meal served by a helper. Young man. This movie could be taken at its face value as just a good movie about, this pleasant little this village and what she does for it, or what it really is all about. And it really is all about the Eucharistic banquet that is prepared for us by Jesus Christ, who gives without counting the cost. Clearly, that is the imagery, if you will, in the movie. The sisters at the end, when the guests have left and you see there's a rejuvenation of their spirit amongst each other, the sisters are so delighted that when they're all gone, they indicate to Babette there must be food in heaven. It would never come out of their mouths before. But the truth is, heaven's food has actually come to earth. That's the truth. Heaven's food has come to earth. It's a joy to see the superabundant generosity of Babette preparing and serving this incredible meal, how it puts new life into an aging and bitter group. She gives of herself without counting the cost for the good of these people, and they walk away, as I mentioned just a moment ago, with a renewed joy and willingness to serve each other. However, what cannot be missed is that at some point, the group of 12, each of those individuals, the group, but the individuals, of course, enjoying the meal, have a decision to make. They experience renewed joy and friendship while at the meal, but when they leave, are they going to go back to their bitter, warring, gossiping selves, resurrecting old wounds, old infidelities, constantly bringing them up? Or are they going to take the goodness of what has happened at the meal and keep it going, continually sharing it with each other? We are drawn here to this parish church every Sunday. Jesus Christ has prepared a supernatural meal for us and has done so without counting the cost. Jesus gave every ounce of his blood shed on the cross. There was nothing left. Even if we cannot receive the Eucharist, someone here cannot receive the Eucharist for whatever reason, you still benefit from being here because you hear his word, which is life-giving and can rejuvenate the soul, has power, regenerating power, and also just being with his worshiping people. When Mass is completed, you hear the words, "Go forth, the Mass is ended." Each of us has a decision to make. Just like the guests at Babette's feast. Is your decision to take the superabundant meal, the grace of Jesus in the Eucharist, but even the power of his word, if you can't receive the Eucharist, the power of his word, and just go home? That is one option. You keep the grace and joy of the meal for yourself, and you do nothing with it. Or is your decision to begin considering how to share the fruits of this Eucharistic banquet? Being intentional about this, connecting the dots, as I often say. All of us as Catholics, especially the cradle Catholics, know that we can come to Mass for years. You don't know the person behind you. You don't know the person in front of you. You don't know the person on the other side of the aisle. And you certainly, understandably perhaps, don't know the people who go to the 9 o'clock Mass or the 5 o'clock Mass or the 3 o'clock Mass. Catholics talk about this all the time, right? I don't know anybody who comes to church. Maybe it's a bit of an exaggeration, but I think the cradle Catholics get the point. We come, we get, we go. It's so important that each of us realize that Jesus Christ puts on a supernatural feast for us every day, that is in daily Mass, here in the parish church. Most of us are able to gather, though, on a Sunday. In the movie, the script has the community rediscovering their friendship with God and each other. You can just see it on their faces. They're very good actors. At every Mass, though, the script is still being written. And you and I are not a tidy script. We can write anything we want on a page, and the good actors will live it out for us and draw us into that, which is great to see. But you and I are not a tidy script. We have free will. We can be like water thrown off a duck's back. Just rolls right down. Or we can be like a sponge, soaks it in, and then, of course, wants to do something with it. We are persons who have to make decisions over and over and over again. I get out of bed pretty easy in the morning. It's my favorite time of the day. I wish the day would go on at 5 o'clock a.m. all day long. You may think I'm cuckoo, but that's my personality. That's my body biology. But I still, as I get older, I have to say, get out of bed. Get out of bed. Because when you get older, this stuff becomes tougher. Probably that's good for me because I don't want to just never have to think about it. Every day is a decision. You got to think about it, right? We can keep this grace to ourselves or think, how can I give it away? If we are intentional about it, meaning that we have to make an effort to be open our mind and heart to the one who has prepared this feast, the banquet of the Eucharist, and we renew our resolve to engage in evangelical hospitality, which we define in our core values as aiming to be generous and evangelical and providing everyone with the opportunities of belonging to this parish family. Then not only will we experience new joy in our lives, but perhaps bring joy to others. Because Jesus doesn't give us the joy for it to remain just with ourselves. He wants us to give it away. You and I experience something extraordinary every time we come to church in this parish community. Even though we're not open to it, our mind may be elsewhere, it's here anyways. Something extraordinary. If we saw it, we would die for joy. Jesus Christ is waiting for us once again. Jesus is waiting to welcome us, to speak to us, to befriend us, to forgive our sins if we're sincerely sorry and contrite, and if we confess them, to nourish and heal us. If you and I really want to benefit from the welcome we receive from Jesus, then it's important that we do our best to share that welcome with those around us. This is one of the driving forces behind our core value of evangelical hospitality. We can be like a duck, water off a duck's back, and just goes off the back of the duck, doesn't really sink in, doesn't absorb. There's no connecting of what I've just received with what I'm supposed to do with it. That's an option. Or, what am I supposed to do with this? How does the Lord want me to give this away? Giving to others what we receive from Jesus, who gave without counting the cost. Let's drill down. I just want to drill down on this so that when we walk away, each of us has something to really think about and strive to apply. At least strive to apply. If you don't begin, you don't begin. Sounds rather obvious, but sometimes we need to hear the obvious. We are having two kinds of meal this weekend. One supernatural and one natural. You're already at the supernatural banquet of the sacrifice of the Mass. This is the greatest thing on earth. Greatest thing on earth. Jesus present in the Holy Eucharist in the tabernacle is going to be present in a new way when Father says the words of consecration. He gives himself completely to us without counting the cost. The invitations for the natural meal have gone out for our parish picnic, and there's going to be a lot of people there. If everyone comes who bought a ticket, 800 people. Yeah, 800. And then, of course, when this kind of thing happens, there's 800 people going, then 300 more want to come, right? This must actually be a good thing. And it is a good thing. 800 people. Even if some are there for 10 minutes, half an hour, 800 people. I've been here 12 years. Nothing like this has happened before. Even at the school picnic, which is a great event, I don't know that 800 people passed through the school picnic. Here are two suggestions that can help you begin giving without counting the cost. They're little things, but if we don't do little things, we'll never get to the big things. Again, it's one of those obvious things. If I want to be a saint and I don't pray today, if I don't ever pray, if I don't start sometime praying, I'm never going to be a saint. All right, so we got our 10-year vision, our 3-year goals, our 1-year markers, and our quarterly rocks. You got to have something today. Something, practical, specific. And these, for the most part, should be doable, tangible. And they can be little things, but they're oriented, they're intentional to go somewhere. Number one, when you leave Mass today, say hello to somebody you don't know. And try to start up a conversation if you can. Now, this is very difficult for a lot of people. It's not easy for me. You know, many, I don't know, have no idea what most of the people think I'm like inside. I mean, inside of yourself, I don't know what you think of me. You may think that I'm an easy conversationalist. I'm not. If I get into a conversation with somebody who could have a conversation with a brick wall, that's great, right? Because they just know how to never stop. And then you get into the flow, right? No problema. But if you meet somebody like, if I met somebody like me and they don't know how to have a conversation, it's like, oh my gosh, when is this going to be over? It's like, you know, somebody please call my cell phone. It's difficult. And I have to tell myself, and you don't see this because you just see my face, but you don't see inside I'm saying, you got to say something, BJ, you got to say something. It's like, nobody's going to say anything. At least they expect you, the priest, to say something. So, you know, you have this interior dialogue if you're an introvert or you're not very comfortable in that. But if you don't start, you don't start. If you don't start, you can't fail. If you can't fail, you can't make any corrections or learn how to do it. For some people, it seems to be innate. Other people have to learn it. I'm still learning it, and I'm 63 years old. It's just part of my personality. It's difficult to change, but I try. You know, I make the effort. I try. So you have a difficult time, then get in line. Lots of people have a difficult time, but it's worth it is what I'm getting at. And number two, kind of building on that, when you attend the parish picnic today, go up to someone and introduce yourself and try to have a conversation with them. Maybe ask, why did you come to the parish picnic? And go beyond if the person says, well, you can't even get a meal for $1 at McDonald's. That's not a bad reason, though. You can't get a meal anymore for $1. But, you know, just say, well, yeah, this is great, you know, but it's like you'll find something to say if you ask the Holy Spirit to guide you. It's like, Lord, please give me something to say, you know, you're saying inside your heart. The Lord, if you ask, the Lord will help you. Just remember to thank him when he does. And if you fumble, so what? We're all trying to we're trying to be something different, and a good different. Babette experienced real joy at having given of herself to these people without counting the cost. Jesus experienced real joy on the cross in the midst of unspeakable suffering and pain, giving of himself without counting the cost. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2 says, looking to Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, who for the sake of the joy that was set before him endured the cross, disregarding its shame. How could Jesus experience any joy on the cross? It wasn't physical joy. It was a deeper joy than the physical, because he knew that by doing what he did, you and I would be here 2,000 years later, and we would at least have the opportunity to inherit the kingdom of God. It's not a guarantee for anyone. We have to respond. But knowing that we would at least have the opportunity, we wouldn't be here if he hadn't died on the cross. Where would we be? We wouldn't have a hope in hell of getting to heaven. Now we do. For the sake of the joy, he gave himself completely without reserve. You and I will experience joy in extending that evangelical hospitality to others, as it has been extended to us. Babette's feast is being lived out at every Mass. The script is still being written. We all have a decision to make, like the people at the table, a change or no change. Our decision is whether we are going to reach out or not.